So hi everybody, welcome to this CPD business building webinar, and today we're joined by Amanda Peet of Mind Your Mind Techniques, and she is going to be sharing with you all about your unconscious mind and limiting beliefs, and she considers herself a bit of a Miss Marple, and in terms of digging deep to find out what those limiting beliefs are. She was in 20, she's had 20 different careers plus, she says, in her past lives. Not literal past lives, just over the course of this current life, because she does past life work as well, is why I'm saying that. And she also is a specialist in dowsing techniques, and she's created her own program called Mind Your Mind Techniques, where you can use those with dowsing or without, and she's written a book of the same name called Mind Your Mind as well. So I'm going to be introducing you to her and get her to share everything with you in a moment. I'm Ruby Maguire, head of CPD, and if you have any questions throughout, I will disappear as in behind the scenes and answer any questions. If you've got any questions, just message me directly. Amanda will take questions at the end anyway, so if you just let her to go through that, process everything she wants to take you through, and then see if I think she's going to do something live today. Am I going to be your guinea pig, Amanda? I think I am. Yeah, goodness.
You're happy to be my guinea pig, yeah.
The problem with her work is it goes deep, so you might be learning more than I want to share. Okay, so we'll see where that takes us. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Amanda, and I'll say if you've got any questions, just message me. There will be a replay of this going out afterwards. That's the main question I always get asked. So over to you, Amanda.
Thanks, Ruby. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today here. And for anybody that's listening on the replay as well. Thank you for listening and watching. So I'm going to go straight into what is a core belief. So the work that I do is about finding out what we've got stored that's limited in us. And also, why do we react in the way that we react to certain situations, certain people, and different things? So I've been doing this work for over 12 years now. And I started off as an EFT practitioner, tapping, that some of you might be familiar with. And I was working with people with PTSD, and I found it was quite intrusive, and very quickly found that core beliefs, these 3 or 4 or 5 little words that was so powerful, was just a much kinder way to have a good clear out. So a core belief, for anybody that doesn't know what a core belief, it's 3, 4 or 5 words. They're very short sentences. They can be positive or they can be negative. In fact, they can be 2 words. I can't is a core belief. I can are all core beliefs. And so it's about sort of knowing what we have and what we haven't got stored when you're working with clients, either for yourself or when you're working with clients. And they're stored in your subconscious mind. So a lot of the time when you're dealing with a client, you're talking to their conscious part of their mind. So it's, how does that make you feel? And you've reacted like that, or when that happened, how did that make you feel? And how does that make you feel? So you a lot of the time you talk to their conscious mind, and you're asking them to bring up how they felt at a certain time. Excuse me. So their conscious mind is having a little think about that, and as you're thinking with your conscious mind, your subconscious mind goes, all right, okay, you were embarrassed, were you? Well, have this lot. And a bit like Google, it will bring up all the stuff that's unresolved within your system, mind and body, because it gets stored in your body as well, and it will sort of throw it forward. So for those people that have panic attacks and you feel that heat and the surge, it's not that they can't cope, it's just that their brain doesn't work like that. So if I was to tell you that your conscious mind runs at 2,000 bits per second, I mean, that to me sounds pretty fast. But when I tell you that your subconscious mind then runs at 400 billion bits per second, you can see how, you know, the conscious mind is doing all the thinking and doing all the hard work, but your subconscious mind is so much quicker. So I sort of decided to turn it on its head. And it's like, okay, so why are we consciously trying to work all these things out? Our subconscious knows everything. It takes a snapshot of everything that we're doing. So right now, whatever you're doing, we're reading the words, we're looking at the pictures, we're listening, but your mind is taking a snapshot of everything that's going on around you. So yeah, everything that's going on. And it does that for every second of every part of your life. It doesn't stop. So it's like infinity cloud storage. It has got everything. So when we're trying to, for me, it was like a no-brainer. It was like, well, why do we consciously work these things out when our subconscious has got all the answers? But of course, we don't really know how to connect with our subconscious mind in the same way. So with the Mind Your Mind and the core beliefs, it's about finding out what the core beliefs are, asking a client to say the core belief, but without getting into their story, without getting involved in it. So you're asking them a quick question, is that true, false, or somewhere in between? And we'll go, when we do the demo, this will all become clear, the steps that I'm explaining. But when you ask them to say a core belief out loud, or when you ask yourself or yourself, you say a core belief out loud, you can see whether it's true, false, or in between. Your conscious mind isn't asking your subconscious any more than that. So it's not asking why, it's not interrogate, it doesn't want to know all the ins and outs and what happened and he said and she said and they did that to me and I did that to them. They're not getting involved in the story at all. It's just literally, is it true, false, or somewhere in between? That keeps you in a safe place. It means that you can visit all sorts of things without actually visiting them. So when I've worked with people with severe trauma and cleared core beliefs, it's meant that they can go back into a memory that was particularly painful and have that memory because the intensity of the emotions are no longer there. So a core belief is, stored in our subconscious mind. These are the top 10 core beliefs. So as you read those, you probably might recognize them. And they're what we get from all over the place. I mean, I say these are top 10. I don't know which one is going to drop off, but the one that's been really popular recently is everything is a struggle. Everything is a struggle is just coming up for people time and time again. So that's getting to be, that might make its way into this is my top 10, by the way, not like the world's top 10. This is just my top 10. So these little sentences, I'm hopeless, I'm useless, they've got so much power behind them. If you have had a relationship, which most people have had a relationship with somebody, whether it's your parents or whether it's a partner, family, friends, if that relationship, as we would say, fails, or if that relationship doesn't work out and you part your ways, then it's very easy to have a core belief of I never trust others. And there's so much that can be packed in and around that I never trust others. So just in that split, right, that's it, I'm never going to trust anybody again. And the reasons why you're never going to trust anybody again is because of the time and the life event before the split up, before you've gone your separate ways. So there's so much that's linked in and around these little words. I'm not safe is another one, and it's always useful to check in on that one. And these are things that you can check in on, but then something might happen, and then you need to check in on yourself again, because just because you've got rid of one, a life event may happen again, and then it's always good to sort of check back in and see where things are at. And it's really easy. It's really easy to check back in. I have a core belief balance sheet, which is of 16 core beliefs, which are the most popular ones, that when somebody's had a trauma or when somebody's had a life event, and it doesn't have to be a trauma, it can be a life event, they could have moved house and everything feels like up in the air. It's good to sort of be able to check through and go, okay, where am I at with these core beliefs? You can have core beliefs around a theme, so I've mentioned about relationships and things, but around money. So many, I can't keep money, everything is a struggle is on this one, because that comes in with money. But there are so many around money. The second half of my book is packed not with money ones, but with general core beliefs. And I don't know how many hundreds of core beliefs I've got in here, but there are still many, many more. They come up from all sorts of places. And once you start hearing them, and once you start tuning into your own, you hear them all the time. You hear people on the telly saying them, core belief. You hear people, there's never enough time, I don't have time, all these things as well. There's so many around time and money, relationships. So they come up. So these might be around money, but as a core belief, they'll affect every area of your life, just like I can't trust. It may have come up because of a relationship, but it will affect every area of your life. So if you can't trust somebody in a relationship, then it's very difficult to then get on with people at work, with colleagues, with other friends, family, because everything feels to be a struggle, because underlying any relationship is that you can't trust. And so it doesn't have to be a love relationship. So why do we have them? Oh, I've dropped off the screen there. Right. So why do we have them? They're inherited. So we inherit them through our DNA, and we also inherit them through ancestral beliefs that have come sort of way down your family tree. If anybody does family tree work, it's quite fascinating to see, especially if you know a little bit about the people. It's quite fascinating to see where core beliefs have come, because you know what those people were doing at a certain time. Because somebody told you, you heard it out loud, and you believed them, learned ones. So growing up, what your parents would say, and then that's a bit like the money doesn't grow on trees. No, you can't have that. So anything that you've heard it out loud, or somebody told you, oh, you're useless. Give that to me. You can't do it. You're useless. Tying shoelaces, for a child learning to tie the shoelaces and then being told, just give it here. You're useless. I'll do it. Or we haven't got time for this. I'll do it. Or you can't do that. I'll do it. I mean, tying shoelaces is tricky at the best, isn't it? But when you're trying to learn it, and then you've got a grown-up telling you, oh, it's okay, I'll do it. Not every child, but some child will take on, I am useless. So we get them from places like that. Past lives. If you're into past lives and delving into those, I've worked with a few clients who, I had a client who had a fear of heights, and she came to me, and we cleared past life stuff, because we said, right, let's get rid of the ancestral stuff, get rid of the past life stuff, and let's just see what you're left with in the here and now. So we cleared all that out, and when we went back to look afterwards about her fear of heights, she was like, no, I'm fine, I can go up a ladder, I'm not worried about that now. And it was like as if she'd never had a fear at all. So it was all linked into the past and into the other stuff that had been stored down the lives. And then right at the bottom there, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, because it's dropped off on mine, it says life events, and we all have life events. Probably 12 years ago now, I sat down and tried to list all of my life events. One of the things that I needed to do for my EFT practitioner course was to do a personal easy for me to say, a personal peace procedure. And that was listing and just going through and making sure that you could clear out all your own stuff. So before I started working with clients, to make sure that everything was cleared, I'd sort of visited anything just in case anything popped up, because I didn't want to be triggered then with a client. So I'm going to give you a quick flash of my life events. I'm not going to leave it on too long. So there, we've got all the different things. This is my list of different things that this goes on longer actually. I've updated this since, but there's also more to add to this. So this is just like, I've got jobs in there. I've got job changes. Yeah, like Ruby said, I've had about 20 different jobs. And I used to organise exhibitions at the NEC. I did that for a while, events and promotions. So they've been jobs, but they've been really big jobs that I've enjoyed and involved jobs. But I've gone from one to another, met somebody that, oh, you really enjoy this, do you want to come and work for Alton Towers? That sounds good, went for the interview, and then this sounds good, had a pub for a while, that sounds like a good idea. And this was mainly because I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I just went from job to job. So we have life events, all these things that are happening. And then in amongst all of those, you can sprinkle them with relationships, name changes, people dying, depression. These are my life events, by the way, or some of them. And so we all have life events. We all have things that are that have gone on. And at the bottom there, I've put, just because we know how to deal with things doesn't make you exempt from life events. So just because I know how to deal with them doesn't stop me from having life events. So I still had a relationship with somebody a few years ago. They completely ghosted me. But luckily, because I had the means and the tools to sort of analyse that and work it out, yeah, I was pretty angry and fed up for a while. But it took me probably about 3 weeks instead of 3 years to deal with that and completely process it through, because I knew what to do with it. But when these things stay in your system, it can take you a lot longer, and obviously have side effects from that as well on your health. So where are they stored? They're stored in your subconscious mind, and they're also stored in your body. So when we start clearing out a core belief, I'll give you an example. I had a lady who had a stiff neck, and she came to me with her neck that was really stiff. She couldn't move it all the way around, always round. And so she said, so we started, I found a core belief, and the core belief was, I can't let it go. This was linked to grief. And this was linked to grief from when her mother passed away, who she was with at the time. And it was all linked to the grief and the feeling guilty for letting go of the grief. So we cleared it, and it was a half-hour session, and we cleared that. And by the end of the session, she was very, very carefully, I asked her to move her head, and she was able to move her head around. So when we clear a core belief of I can't let it go, you're asking your subconscious mind to do that. And as soon as you've done that, and you take your nice deep breath at the end, as soon as you've done that, your body at a cellular level is then changing all of that information that's stored in your body. So before, all of your body was in agreement with I can't let it go. And so things would start to come out and manifest themselves in your body. But as soon as you have that I can let it go, or you've released that core belief and it's no longer your truth, at a cellular level, all these things then start to change within your body. And it's fast, it's super fast. I don't know how fast, but it's super fast. And you begin to feel these things straight away. Where's there we go. So what can we do with them? I've just done something on here. Right, there we go. So what can we do with them? Words put them there, so words can take them away. And you can instruct your subconscious mind. And it's basically asking your subconscious mind to do something. Now, our conscious mind takes on everything. It feels the emotions for the here and now. And if you're doing something, panic. If you panicked, in the moment that you're panicking for the here and now, you probably know what you're panicking about and you can make sense of it. But anything that's stored in your subconscious mind will support that and go, all right, you're asking for panic, have this lot. And then you get a surge of panic, and everything feels much bigger than it should do for the here and now. If you had the manageable panic for the here and now, you can probably work it out and deal with it, and have a bit more clarity while you're doing that. But when you've got loads and loads and loads of other stuff that's coming forward, and your subconscious thinks it's an instruction, it thinks that that's what you're wanting. So our subconscious mind hasn't got a sense of humour. It's not proactive. It won't do anything unless you ask it to. So if you've had a bad night's sleep and you're getting up and then you are feeling sadness, your subconscious won't think, oh, she's had a bad night's sleep. I won't send that forward. No empathy whatsoever. You just have the lot. It all comes forward. That's it. And it just surges it all forward. So your subconscious is, what we can do is we can instruct our subconscious to do that, and with the power of words. So words are so powerful. We know that because of the core beliefs and the emotions and things that we take on due to the other words that people say. So our reactions to what people say and do to us generally are our words. And sometimes we can't actually put things into words. So this is great when you can't put things into words and you don't know how you feel, because you don't have to. And for clients that come to me, I don't need to know what their issues are. That can stay completely private to them. If they have any memories or flashbacks, they stay completely private. I don't need to know that. That's private to them. And as long as their brain is giving them the memories, I just need to know how that makes them feel, and then we can clear it through that way. Some shortcuts. So we've got, I'll do the demo for you as well, and then you can see how it works, but then you can probably make more sense of how you can shortcut it. So when you're finding a core belief, I've got lists. So there's lists and lists of core beliefs. So with my book, Mind Your Mind, the first part explains how our brain works, why we store them in a lot more detail than I'm doing in here. I've given you some of the juicy bits. But there are lists of them. So what you can do is you can read down the list and you just say them out loud. I'm of no value. I don't care for myself. I am useless. I don't like me. So you can read them. And lots of people, when they start doing this sort of work, will find that they've got lots, and they'll go, well, I've got all of those. So one of the ways that we can shortcut that is to use muscle testing. So for anybody who doesn't know what muscle testing is, it's a kinesiology technique where you communicating with your body, and you get a strong, you might have seen people do this, so you get you can do it on your knees, and you can do it on all sorts. Other people can muscle test for you as well. So you get a strong yes signal or a weak no signal. And so you would say the core belief. Well, actually, we're finding the core belief first. You can actually find the core belief by going down and finding out which page it's on, and then tuning in and sort of really homing into the actual core belief. And then once you've found it, if you're doing it for yourself, you can say the core belief and then test with its true, false, or somewhere in between. Dowsing, I said at the beginning, my superpower is dowsing. So I couldn't muscle test for a long time. I can do it now again. Yes, that was a core belief. I can't muscle test. So I dowse. So I have a pendulum. Dowsing is, I'm in Devon, and down in Devon we have a huge amount of dowsers. I'm from Devon. Dowsers has a big following of people, and it's just so popular for all sorts of things. It's really opened my eyes to the world of dowsing, because I've only ever used it for connecting with my own subconscious, or connecting when I'm with clients, and working that way. So there's all sorts, there's like masses of things that you can find out to use dowsing. But for me and for this purpose, I would dowse down the list and I go, okay, is it on that page? Is it on that page? Which is what I'll be doing later. And then I sort of pinpoint and say, okay, it's that one. Ask the client or myself to say it out loud, and then feel whether it feels true, false, or somewhere in between. So it's really good as a shortcut, instead of having to read through every core belief and go through like the whole list. You can actually pinpoint, and by doing it that way, whether you use muscle testing or dowsing, or again your intuition, a lot of people will use intuition and just know, or listening to your client, because as soon as a client comes to you, if they're a new client, they'll have filled out a new client form, in which case you'll be, I can generally pick out 5 or 6 core beliefs just from a new client form. That's my Miss Marple bit coming in, detective work. I can normally pick out 5 or 6 core beliefs, and without even speaking to them, because you're just listening, and it's just knowing, and so many things can be turned and reworded into a core belief. So the shortcuts are really useful, so to identify. And also I use dowsing more than muscle testing, but when I'm doing that as a shortcut, what I've found as well is that not only are you finding a core belief quicker, but you're also getting to the root one. So a lot of the time they buddy up. So somebody might look at that list and go, well, I've got 10 of those. But by the time you've got the root of it, the one that's sort of the root core belief, you'll find that a lot of the others just dissolve away. They're not necessary, because they were just supporting, like the big boy at the bottom that was going, I can't achieve anything. And then they've got all these other ones that have gone, oh yeah, we believe you, we're in with that team, and they sort of all join on after. So once you get to the root one, the others dissolve away, and then you think, oh, actually, yeah, that doesn't matter at all now. So it's, once you start doing them as well, it's fascinating how they all interlink. Some is just standalone completely. You do a core belief and it's job done, and other times it's you might find that 2 or 3 interlink. So that's my book. Well, no, I've done it right. I'm going to stop the share now, because I've gone too far on there. But I'll do a demo. Oh, it's nice because I can see everybody again now. This is nice. I'm going to do a demo. So do we want a guinea pig, or Ruby, are you going to be guinea pig?
Well, if someone wants to be a guinea pig, I'm happy to hand it over, because I know your work goes deep and I might not want everyone to know. I don't mind.
Don't put anybody off. Well, what I can do is what I'll do is I'll do one for myself, and I'll show you what the procedure is. So all of the words that I'm using, there are 7 or 8 lines of words, and they're instructions to your subconscious mind. So let's have a go. We all have them. There's always something to find. So
no, I've got one for you about email addiction, if that helps.
Should we do that one?
It's up to you. Totally up to you.
Right. Well, let's have a look. I'll just find one here, and then what I'll do is I'll run through the words so you can see how easy it is. So that page.
Lisa, do you want to just flag yourself up? We'll get you as the person to get worked on.
I'm laughing because it's come up is I'm in the wrong place, and I'm thinking of moving house recently. Been thinking about moving house recently. Right, I'll do this as a demo one anyway, and we'll see. So I have to say I'm not very good, which is why it's another good thing that I use the sort of dowsing. I'm not very good at sort of working out any emotions and things that come up. So despite working with a lot of people who a lot of emotions do come up, for myself, I've always found it very difficult to connect to my own. Yeah, you know, if I'm having a good old rant about something, I can connect with them. But when I'm in terms of sort of core beliefs, I do find it a bit difficult sometimes to, it's just like, well, I'm not sure. So, and the other thing was with the self-help books, which is another thing that sort of led me down this way, was when I had self-help books when I was in my teens, like 18, 19, 20, I had mental health problems from really early age. And so I sort of turned to self-help books. But as soon as we got to the back bit that said describe in words and put into words, I go, oh, I'm not doing that. And then go back on the shelf. Then it's like, oh, I'm not putting anything into words. I can't do that. So for me, not having to put anything into words and describe anything is perfect, because it's there. But for some people do like to put that into words and like to process in that way. And it gives them that opportunity too. So for me doing this work now, so if you're clearing a core belief, what I would say is, even though I have this core belief, I'm in the wrong place. So you're acknowledging that you have the core belief and you say it out loud. Then you say, I'm now choosing to release that core belief. I'm asking my subconscious to release what needs to release, change what needs to change, so my conscious mind doesn't have to. It's very broad. It's very, very broad. You don't need to be specific, because your subconscious, like I mentioned earlier, has got all the information. It's got everything about you. It is you. It's part of you. It's not somewhere else. It's part of you. It's in here. So your subconscious knows everything. So by asking it to change what needs to change and release what needs to release, it's like, yippee, I've got a job to do. And so it's busy. It's 400 billion bits per second start to work, obviously really fast, and start doing its work. And then you say, that was then, this is now. So you're doing that sort of drawing the line under it of, okay, that was then, this is now, I acknowledge that. And then you say, I'm choosing to release that core belief, I'm in the wrong place, safely and completely, through all space and time, and throughout my whole system. And then you take a deep breath. And then you check back in with yourself. You say it out loud. Is it true, false, or somewhere in between? You also check back in with yourself, or if you're working with clients, whether they had any memories, flashbacks, or other emotions. If there's memories and flashbacks, again, it stays private to them. They don't need to start investigating and trying to put them into words, because it can be too difficult. So you just tell them how that memory makes them feel. And then using words for emotions, you can then clear that off. So the words for clearing the emotions are very similar for clearing core beliefs. And then the last line, I'm choosing to release it safely and completely through all space and time. Now that line has got longer and longer with the different work that I do. So for anybody that's clearing, you can also choose at that last line then to clear it through ancestral. So you might not have investigated whether that was yours to start with, but you can investigate whether that was yours to start with, whether it's ancestral, whether it was a past life. You can investigate that if that's what you're into, which I am, because it's fascinating when you start clearing all that out. And and then other stuff. So my last line now when I'm working with a client is choosing to release it safely and completely through all space and time. And this is not all the words that have come from me. This is words that have come from clients who wanted to add a little bit more in. So I've got like a menu now that you can choose from. What's in your world? What do you agree with and what do you want to use? You can just use the standard, or you can add these bits in. So through all space and time, up and down the family lines, through one or more past lives, through all lives, through all multidimensional times, and throughout my whole system, right here, right now. So that long, I could write a book on just the last line, because there's so much that goes within there. So yeah, so that's how we do a core belief. For an emotion, it's very much similar. Sometimes you don't get any emotions coming up because you're asking your subconscious to deal with it. You're asking your subconscious to change what needs to change, release what needs to release. So it gives your conscious mind a real rest. It gives your conscious mind a chance to go, oh, thank God, I don't need to do anything here. I'm not going to be asked anything. It's handing it over to the other part of your brain that knows everything. So for emotions, even though I have this emotion of blah, 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 if anybody's trying to jot the words down, I've got a YouTube video that you can do as a talk along. So it's got all the words there as well. So you can do a talk along. I talk about an emotion and a core belief, but you can change that core belief and emotion to whatever's suitable for you. So even though I have this emotion of panic, I'm now choosing to release it. I'm asking my subconscious to release what needs to release, change what needs to change, so my conscious mind doesn't have to. That was then, this is now. I'm choosing to release that emotion that is linked to that core belief, because if it's come up with that core belief, it's linked to that core belief, and you don't know what the core belief is again, because your super fast subconscious already knows what you're talking about. It's got the information, and releasing it safely and completely through all space and time and throughout my whole system, or which other bits you want to, ancestral and past, like whatever else you want to clear it out from. And then you can also balance. So some people don't like to work on just the negative core beliefs. They like to work with the positive as well. So I've worked with people that have got them out of balance. So for people that have all sorts of issues, I had a lady that came to me. She'd asked to be sectioned. She was struggling. She got 2 little boys, and she didn't know what to do. She tried all sorts, and she couldn't get the help. And so because she'd told me that she was suicidal, and because she'd used those words, I just checked in, and we'd cleared the core belief of, we balanced it. I want to live, I want to die. So they were both, she wanted to live, which was true, but she wanted to die, which was true. So having that, and when they're out of balance, some people can just be fighting against it all the time. So when things are a struggle, and that's one of the 16 to be balanced, when you've had a life event that's triggered, that's changed things, and you've got your jigsaw of life, and suddenly a piece has been chucked out. In order to get that piece back in again, it's just sort of, go through these things and make sure that your basic core beliefs are all intact still. But yeah, I can't. If you've got a core belief of I can, when I had depression, and I say had because I don't have it anymore, and lots of people don't feel that they have to manage that, whereas I don't, because I know you can get rid of it. But when I had depression, my conscious mind was sort of saying, I'm going to get up, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. Yet my subconscious mind was saying, nah, what's the point, you're useless, don't bother, and so it doesn't support you. I cleared out my depression, and then I had a daughter and got postnatal depression. And as a practitioner, what was really interesting, horrible 4 years, but what was really interesting as a practitioner was the fact that when I was saying, I can't deal with this baby, my subconscious was going, well, of course you can, you've done this, you've done that, and it was my support. But if you've got somebody that's got depression and postnatal depression, you've got that everything is going against each other. It's like there's no way out. It's just, you're just stuck. So being able to sort of go in and clear out some things, obviously really gives you that sort of, all right, okay, I'm not in this loop, I'm not in this hamster wheel anymore. I can move out of it. Right, shall we do, who was up for a demo, Ruby?
Lisa McMurtry, please. Lisa, if you want to unmute yourself.
I could eat this up all day. I'm in my little queen element right now. Thank you so much.
Hi, Lisa. Lisa, are you happy? Do you want me to hold the book up to you and so you can have a look and see if one jumps out, or would you like me to douse for you with my superpower?
Completely douse with your superpower.
Douse. Let's get the superpower. I haven't got my knickers on the outside, by the way. I'm not that. I don't do anything for my superpower. Right. So I'm also check is it safe and appropriate to do this now? Yeah. Okay. So one of those. So what I'm doing now is I'm just dowsing down the list to see what one. One of those. One of those. So the one that's come up is the one that came up for me as well. I'm in the wrong place. So if you say I'm in the wrong place, and you need to say it out loud, because if you say it in your head, you can con yourself that it's not one of yours. So if you say I'm in the wrong place, and then see if it's true, false, or somewhere in between.
I'm in the wrong place. Feels in between.
Okay. Does it feel safe for you to release that as a core belief?
Yeah.
Okay, I always check about the safety, because for some it can be anything, but for some reason people might go, oh, well, actually now I've said it, no, I feel like I want to keep that a bit longer, and then you need to sort of delve around and see what that is. So if I say some words, and then if you want to copy me.
Even though a moment, Amanda, just checking. Lisa, you know this is on record. Are you okay with that? Would you like us to stop the recording?
No, absolutely. I've just replied to that.
Okay, so even though
I
have this core belief
that
I'm in the wrong place.
I'm in the wrong place. Actually, I'm in the wrong place.
I'm now choosing to release that core belief. I'm asking my subconscious to release what needs to release. And change what needs to change. So my conscious mind doesn't have to. That was then. This is now. I'm choosing to release. That core belief. Of I'm in the wrong place. Releasing it safely and completely. Through all space and time. Oh, I didn't ask you. Do you want to do family lines as well?
Do it all.
Through up and down the family lines. Through one or more past lives. Through all lives. Through all multidimensional times. And throughout my whole system. Right here, right now. And then take a deep breath. So as you can see, you can stop and you can ask a question in amongst, because you're not in a trance, you're not in anything. You can just carry on with the words. So, you know, if you do get disrupted, unless you're disrupted for quite a while, for, a few minutes, then you can come back to it. So Lisa, did you have any memories, flashbacks, or other emotions that came up for you? And remember, I don't need to know what the memories or flashbacks were, if there are any, just how they made you feel.
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, now I can feel that I've got a yawn, and I didn't mention this either, but a yawn. I can feel a yawn coming. That's normally my pendulum swinging here, and that signals to me that it's just still cooking. And then, oh, Lisa's yawning. And then normally when I do a big yawn and then my pendulum will go to a no, that signals that it's cleared. But you can see, even if you don't use dowsing, you just wait a few minutes, you give the client a bit of a breather, and you can check in. So here it comes. I can do a big yawn. I did quite well then, because normally I like yawn the way through it. Or I mean, when we're saying the ancestral stuff up and down the family lines, if I yawn, that's an indication to me that that's something that you've inherited. or if I yawn on past lives, it means that, you know, I normally get an indication that's a signal to me that there's something else to dig out there, investigate. Right. So Lisa, oh, it's jumped around on the screen. There you are. So Lisa, if you say out loud, I'm in the wrong place.
I'm in the wrong place.
Does that feel true, false, or somewhere in between?
No, it doesn't feel true.
Okay.
I'm in the wrong. No, it doesn't feel true.
Is it false with a niggle or completely false?
No, it's false.
Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you, Lisa. That was good. Sometimes you can get them that have other things coming off them, but if Lisa had come up with an emotion, then you could have cleared that emotion off with that as well. So yeah, I had to isolate. I was going to do this on my YouTube channel actually. I had to isolate after I'd had COVID. And I've been saying through lockdown, oh, I love being a hermit. I'm really enjoying it. Like I'm quite happy I am a hermit. And so when I come to the end of my isolation and I was allowed out, I was like, no, I don't want to go out there. I don't want to go out there ever again. I'm quite happy in here. I'm not going out ever again. And then I had a little word in myself and thought, well, you didn't think that's not right. You don't normally think like that. And then I realized I'm a hermit. So I cleared the core belief of I'm a hermit. I actually dowsed to see if I was agoraphobic, got that I was up to a level of 7 out of 10. Dowsed I am a hermit. And for me, it's different for everybody. Cleared that away. And then my agoraphobia went from a 7 down to a 3. And then I said, do I need to know anything else about it? Got a no. And then sort of just cleared whatever was left. I didn't need to identify it. Just cleared it out and said, it's, you know, it's no longer working for me. And then, so within 10 minutes, I was like, right, we're off, let's go out. That's it, I was fine. But you can see how having these core beliefs can really limit you, because there was no way I was going to go out there. I was like, I've got my books, I'm quite happy, I don't need to go for any food, I'm just going to stay here. But you can see how when you've got lots of other things that and I do this regularly, there's always something that comes up, but you can see for some people how it must be really, really difficult when another life event comes along and you haven't dealt with the last one. You've just got this series of bumper to bumper life events that are just waiting to be freed out. Are there any questions?
There is one from Colette. I'm just going to read the exact question to you. Can't find it. Keep going, keep going. Right. So what if a person cannot dowse, i.e. the pendulum remains completely still no matter what?
Oh, well, if you've tried dowsing and you want to dowse, I mean, if it's that you don't want to dowse, or you know, you don't have to, but if you want to dowse and it's got, sometimes it's I don't trust myself as a core belief, so clearing that one. I've helped quite a lot of people with their dowsing to clear off any blocks that have, but yeah, no, or I don't trust myself. I can't simply. So for whatever reason, but if you can't dowse, if you know somebody that does, get them to dowse and see what it is that you're stuck with, because once you release that, you'll be off again.
I think I know when Amanda, because I've done Amanda's training, when I went through the training with her, she said, you know, test your dowsing on different things, like, is this a banana, is it a mobile phone, is it, just go around the house. And I kind of looked like a crazy person every time my husband came home, like, what are you doing? So I said, well, I'm dowsing different things. But that works, because eventually you get a proper yes or no answer, a bit like you were saying, Jamie, with the kinesiology as well. So
it just builds up your confidence with it as well. So if you're new to it, anybody who's new to it, I'd sort of show them quickly how to do it, ask for a yes signal, ask for a no signal, and then send them off for a week or 2 weeks to practice for like 5-10 minutes every day. Yeah, you get your yes signal, and then you point at the curtains and say that's a curtain and get a yes. So point at things that you know what they is, what the item is, because then you're not attached to the outcome. So you point at a chair, that's a chair, and you get a yes. You point at, you know, that's a plant, that's a photograph, and you point at things so you know you're not attached to the outcome. You don't have any influence at all, because that's what some people think is their influence in the outcome of it. And over time you build up your confidence, and then you point to those same things and you say that's a tractor, you know, that's a sunshine, that's a penguin, and you point at things and give them completely the wrong name on purpose, just to build up your confidence with your no signal. So it's it's good to sort of to do that. Any other questions? Or does that answer your question, actually, Colette? Does that help?
Colette doesn't have audio, so I'll let you know as soon as she can get a message to me. So Lisa says she asked her clients to sleep with the pendulum as a way to connect. Jeremy was saying about kinesiologists. I think, you know, if dowsing doesn't work, use the muscle testing, or muscle testing, sorry, not necessarily kinesiology. He's used it for over 30 years and it will do exactly the same job. So if you want to find out more. And Colette says, yes, thank you, that really helps. Has anyone else got any questions for Amanda before we go into CPD wrap up? Does anyone else want to have a go at being a guinea pig?
The other thing, what Jeremy was saying, the other thing with the muscle testing is, whereas I was waiting for my pendulum to stop, you sort of you end up using your intuition. You just leave it a couple of minutes and then you can muscle test and say, is it cooked? Is it gone? Is it released? And yeah, so it's a great confirmation tool. It's muscle testing. And it's really easy to learn, isn't it?
Mm. Anyone else got any questions? No?
Anything that you can use to connect to your subconscious mind has got to be a good tool to have, whichever way you just choose to do it.
Yeah, and I love the statement, that was then, this is now, because even when you're working with clients, it's such a good statement once you've done some clearing with clients, just saying that was then, this is now. And it just gets them shifting, and you can use that. What I found with clients is I use that to get them to do a piece of homework. So if they're trying to reintroduce a limiting belief, they just say that, and then they remember that they've actually cleared it, and it anchors into the dowsing that they've done as well. So brilliant. Well, thank you, Amanda. What we'd like you to do is do some CPD now, just for 1 minute. So if you just want to make a note of your biggest takeaway from today, and let us know in terms of what that is. Share in the chat box what your biggest takeaway from today is, and an action that you're going to take as a result of today's session. And I will find there's a document that Amanda has done around a limiting belief that you can buy. Other than that, Amanda, while everyone's working on their thing, if you can just share in the chat box where people can find out more about you. And I will set the timer for 1 minute. So if you all want to get on with CPD, we know that if you don't do it now, you won't write down, because it's easy to walk off this call and not have done it. So yeah, if you just want to pop that down, biggest takeaway in the chat box now. I'll put the timer on, go. Oh. Okay. But a couple of questions, Amanda, about whether you do training, and what we're going to do is we're going to go over into Amanda's last slides then and share that as well with you. I've had a few people asking. So yes, she does. I trained with her. It's brilliant, and it's just amazing the results that you get with clients. It's absolutely brilliant. You know, I've had clients come on, even when I first introduced it and I'd first just trained, and they said, I don't actually know what to work on, but I'm just intrigued by what you're doing. And there's some of the stuff that came up, like, wow, I didn't even know that was coming up for me in my unconscious mind. I had no idea whatsoever. It's really powerful work. So some of the biggest takeaways, still got more to come, hopefully, in the chat box. The learning an additional way to help clients understand what they need to work on. So I can incorporate into my mindset priming approach. Really benefited from hearing where the core beliefs come from, the link to the many life events we have. Love that was in, this is now. Well, 100% use that. It's a really good one. And Amanda, if you just want to share your slides again, just how people can find out more about you. And there's a lot of links in the chat as well. You can go through and copy those.
Okay. Yeah, I do level 1, level 2, and level 3. So level 1 is a one-to-one. There we go. So level 1 is practitioner training. So I never train anybody who isn't already working with clients on a one-to-one basis. Level 1 is showing you how to use the tech for yourself. It's 2 hours, and there's some more details on my website actually I should have put that link on the thing. Anyway, on my website there's a little bit more information. So level 1 is 2 hours. It's always one-to-one. I did used to do it in groups, but I found that because there was personal information that was coming up, it was just better to do it one-to-one. So that's 2 hours. That's showing you how to use the techniques, and so that you demonstrate that you can use them in front of me, just us together, and then so that I know that you've got a hang of it. And then that's before you go on to level 2, I check in with you and see how you're doing. And it's about clearing stuff for yourself, because by clearing stuff for yourself, it's to know how they all interlink, which works brilliantly for dealing with clients later on. Level 2 is how to use it with the clients. That takes 4 to 5 hours, depending if you want it with or without dowsing or muscle testing. And level 2 is up to a maximum of 3 on Zoom. Again, I used to do it up to 6 in a group live, and that worked quite well, but I'm doing it on Zoom at the moment, and that's up to a maximum of 3. So if it's one person, that's fine, we do it one-to-one up to a maximum of 3. And then we demonstrate mind your mind emotions, mind your mind core beliefs, mind your mind core belief balance, and then mind your mind body scan. There's another one that you can use for your body, so that's getting into a lot more to do with the whole system. And then level 2, after level 2 you're supported until you're ready to do level 3, and level 3 is 8 written case studies, and they're not case studies as in like detailed he said she said, and we're not, it's just literally I found this core belief, it was true, and then you can sort of see, so I can follow, I sort of show you my notes. This hasn't got anybody's name on, but basically you just write down very briefly what the core beliefs are. You don't need to have all the stuff that goes with it, it's not necessary. And then you do 8 of those written, submit 4, I'll give you feedback, and then submit another 4, and then you do 2 on sort of on Zoom. We do 2 case studies, either with people that you want to bring in yourself, or I have a list of people who are always willing to be case studies, and that's 2 45-minute sessions that are observed, and then I observe those. So by that stage you're sort of, you've cleared out all your own fears and all your own nerves and all everything like that, and then you're on it. And then so this is I observe for doing the mind your mind techniques. Whatever you then do after creatively to put it into your practice, that's completely fine. But to start with, I just not need to, but it's good for me to know that you can do them as a standalone technique and understand them completely, and then you can creatively incorporate them into your own practice after that. And then of course I do one-to-ones starting from 30 minutes up to 2 hours.
So Amanda, there was one outstanding question from Colette. How would you begin with someone that's extremely angry about everything, very negative? She says, not me. But where would you start with a client that comes with anger issues, I guess?
Well, to start with, again, it doesn't matter what the issue is, I would always dowse, if you're a dowser, but I would always find found a core belief and start from there. And so I would rate the anger and sort of say, okay, tell me what the anger is 0 to 10, get that rated, so we've got a starting point of what the anger is, and then find a core belief, and then just keep doing core beliefs, see what comes up with them, and release that. And it's very gentle, it's a very kind way to get into all sorts of nooks and crannies that your conscious mind can't or doesn't want to or doesn't feel safe getting into. It's almost like going through a back door, but it isn't a back door because it's all you still. And so yeah, I would sort of gauge the anger and then keep checking in on them partway through the session, halfway through, checking and see if that anger has gone up, down, or stay the same. And I always give people that option of that it can go up, down, or stay the same. because sometimes it does go up a little bit before it comes back down again. But yeah, or doing a belief balance if by sort of clearing those basic sort of needs that we have that are linked to basic needs of, you know, I am safe, I deserve, I am worthy, I can. So yeah, but I would definitely, if you are a dowser, I would definitely douse that one. I would not necessarily start with the anger, because sometimes the anger is not even linked. They can be linked to the most random things that you know, that you can't even connect with. But when you do work it out and join the dots, it makes perfect sense.
Brilliant, some great feedback, Amanda. I'll send you those afterwards from the notes that people have said. Thank you everyone for participating. It really is a fascinating subject. And for those of you who don't do dowsing and aren't into the dowsing, Amanda talks through how to just use the book on its own. So you don't have to use dowsing if that's a step too far, because I know it would have been for me a few years ago, but not so much now. Well, it's not at all now. So on that note, thank you everyone for being here live. Fascinating topic. Hope you've all enjoyed it today. We will get the replay up onto the blog at some point once it's been edited and processed. And we look forward to speaking to you on the next masterclass. Thank you very much, Amanda, for your time. Till next time, everyone. Thank you.